Moving on to Spain, where the Prime Minister is on a break. Pedro Sanchez has suspended all public duties. He will not be in office this week, not because he is on a holiday, but because Sanchez says it's time to quote-unquote stop and reflect. He has a big question on his mind. Should he resign or stay on? And why does he face this question? Because of a bribery scandal in which he is not even directly involved. It's about his wife, Begona Gomez. She has been implicated. The court has opened an inquiry into her. The case has been filed by a group called Manos Limpias, meaning clean hands. It describes itself as a trade union, but they're essentially a group of anti-corruption campaigners. And they've had high-profile targets in the past, politicians, bankers, even Spanish royalty for that matter. And this time they've accused the Prime Minister's wife. They say she misused her position, that she used government connections for her own business interests. The court has not given any details, but reports say this involves a company called Globelia. It's a Spanish tourism group. They own an airline, the Air Europa. In 2020, the Prime Minister's wife met this company's CEO twice, and the timing was suspicious because the group was also in talks with the government. What for? A huge COVID bailout for its struggling airline. At that time, Gomez, the Prime Minister's wife, ran a foundation. So here's the charge against her. She got money for her foundation in exchange for a government bailout. Now, of course, these are all reports. Gomez has denied them. So has the foundation that she worked for. And the company Globelia, they say they're victims of political crossfire. Now, the matter is in court, but the Prime Minister is not waiting for a verdict. He has published a 4-page letter on X. He says he's not attached to his position. And he also asks if it's worth, amid all this mudslinging, is it worth it? The Spanish opposition calls it a show. But the entire scandal has raised one issue, the issue of accountability. It is so rare in politics. Pedro Sanchez may be doing it for show, but at least he stepped back from his duties. Compare that to the South Korean president, for instance. His wife was accused of taking a bribe, a Dior bag worth $2,200, and it was on camera. The scandal rocked South Korean politics, but the president stayed put. His ratings dropped to an all-time low. His wife disappeared from public view, but quitting the job was never even brought up. In fact, leaders rarely quit due to corruption until and unless they're forced to do so. And there are many such examples. Benjamin Netanyahu, the current Prime Minister of Israel, he's on trial for fraud and corruption. Donald Trump, the former President of the United States, on trial for hush money payment. Jacques Chirac and Nicolas Sarkozy, 2 former French presidents, both accused of corruption. Brazilian President Lula da Silva was once convicted of corruption. In South Africa, Jacob Zuma was charged with it. Indonesia's former leader Suharto siphoned off billions. In India, there is no dearth of such cases. Leaders implicated in bribery cases, leaders jailed for corruption, yet very few convictions. They leave office only when the law kicks them out. In most cases, they avoid punishment. In 2013, the Supreme Court of India passed an order. It said convicted and jailed leaders will be barred from office for 6 years. But leaders with corruption charges are still in politics. Many of them have exploited legal loopholes. And this is across parties. I guess we as voters have come to accept it, which is why this story from Spain stands out. Having said that, corruption is neither new nor unique to any country, and we all pay the price for it. The cost of global corruption is said to be $2.6 trillion, which is 5% of the world's GDP. Here's what a survey says. Across the world, 1 in 4 people pay bribes. 57% believe their government is not fighting corruption. Another study says 1 in 3 people believe their leaders are corrupt. It shows you the lack of trust in political leadership. The Spanish Prime Minister may be doing it for perception, but even that seems like a virtuous move, given the abysmally low standards and rare accountability in politics.